I'm Alicia Sims, and this is Sadie, and this is Maritime, Inc. My shop is Rolling Sea Tattooery in Truro, Nova Scotia. And I started tattooing, it'll be 12 years this September coming, so 11 and a half years. I was 19 when I got my first tattoo. It's Chinese characters on my lower back, and I still have them. That's a big deal because a lot of us get our early stuff covered. And I got it at a little street shop in St. John's, Newfoundland, where I'm from. I almost didn't do it because I was worried about the pain. I made my sister go first because we both got the same one. And I just remember that the sting, it just burned. But I got it and I kept getting them, so it couldn't have been too bad. I don't know what made me want to get a tattoo in the first place. I was artistically inclined. I really just like art, and then seeing what people could do on the body, I guess, really intrigued me. So, yeah, I don't know. I remember I just like, oh, I want to get a tattoo. Like it was just a thing you eventually did.
Hey, how are you doing?
Hey, Earl. All right. Let's do this.
Ready to have a look?
Okay, what are we working on today? So I got that little piece in the back that I said I was going to do. And then just some touch-ups.
Hopefully nothing on the elbow.
No, I think we're good. All right, come on in. I've always been artistically inclined. I am not good at sports. I can't play an instrument, but I can draw. And I don't know, I started thinking about it in high school as my education was drawing to a close, that I was like, oh, I'd really love to be a tattoo artist, but it's like saying you're gonna be a musician. Like I never thought it would actually happen. I just knew it was something I would like to do. And I didn't actively pursue it until after I finished university. I moved home after I did my degree at the Nova Scotia College of Art and Design. And I met the right person and I harassed him for 2 years until he agreed to give me an apprenticeship. It's definitely doable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna take a few sessions for sure. Yeah. So I'd say like 3 full days for sure. And then it just depends on the different details that you want to get in it.
Okay, and don't do any like sketching of it yet or anything. It's just kind of an idea I have for practice.
Not till I got you booked in, I wouldn't anyway. But no, it's definitely doable. I mean, anything you're going to do on your back, especially full cover, is going to take good feet.
That's what I figured. Yeah. Probably 20, 25
I'd say
hours.
3 to 4 full day sessions for sure. My mom was, well, and I mean, in their defense, I had just finished a degree in graphic design, which, they helped pay for, / paid for. And so to go from, hey, I'm gonna throw that out the window and learn to tattoo, and I was basically only doing that for not quite 2 years when I decided to get into tattooing. And yeah, it was in the late 2000s, so tattooing shows were just happening, and it was in the public eye, but still not quite what it is today. So it took some adjustment for sure. They didn't love it at first. All right, so I'm gonna start on the top and work my way down.
Heard that before, and it always ends painful as you get close to the bottom part.
What are you talking about? I don't necessarily think that it's a difficult transition. No, it's a different medium, period. I don't think it matters what background you come in. You're not used to drawing things on skin, and it's curved and it moves, and it has, everyone's skin is different, so every canvas is different. I mean, I guess it's like any medium. If you're used to painting on canvas and you switch to paper or ceramics or anything, there's definitely a learning curve to it, but it's a lot harder when your canvas breathes and bleeds, that's for sure, and screams and cries.
Can I promise you in the message I won't cry this time?
Did you?
Don't think you've had tears yet. I've definitely flinched once.
It's like not out of you.
Yeah.
What are you doing? It would be better if you were unconscious. No, stop. You want to do this right or not?
I do, majority of my work is black and gray. I try to go to a more realism. I mean, it's definitely not photorealism, but that's what I do the most. But I don't really know how it got there. Like, I enjoyed doing it. It seemed to come more naturally to me. I like doing color as well, but it's certainly not my strong suit. I guess that's what I'm mostly known for, and so I don't know if I would say that's my style, but yeah. Someone told me in my first year of apprenticing, which I'll never forget, was the best advice. It said, it doesn't matter how good your work is if no one wants to work with you. So that just kind of stuck with me. It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of blind trust. Like, chances are the people that you're tattooing, you just met at that point. So, I mean, some are friends or family that you've known for a while, but for the most part, a majority of your clients are people you don't know, and they have to have faith based on the work they've seen and meeting you that you can bring their vision to life. And that blind trust, I find, is a real hard thing to get over and to have in yourself. And you know, there's no eraser. You have to get it right the first time. I've had a few experiences where people would come back after and like, you know, I don't really love that we did this. Can we change that? And I was like, no, it's in there. That's permanent. But cover-up culture is huge. I actually just did my last cover-up for the year yesterday. Finished it because I just have to take a hiatus from cover-ups. One of the very first clients I ever had, I was like super fresh, and he said he was thirsty and looking for a glass of water, and I was like, yeah, no problem. So I got up and went to get him a glass of water, which was downstairs in the studio that I had wanted to, the studio that we were working at. And before I made it back upstairs, we had been using those old barber chairs that have like the feet bars on them, and he had tried to get up and passed out. Yeah, and cut his face between his eyes open, and it was terrifying. I mean, he was okay, everything was fine. I had to like drive him to the hospital, and that was by far one of the strangest things that have happened to me. Everything was good, there were no issues. Luckily, it never happened again. I guess the funny thing with tattooing is the people passing out. People are like, do people pass out? I'm like, oh yeah, they do. And I don't know if you know this, but people pass out and their eyes are still open. So I was never exposed to that before. But yeah, people pass out. I've had to catch them from falling out of the chair, and they wake up and you're just like, hi. I don't know if you remember who I am or why you're here, but kind of thing. Or they wake up on the bed, anything like that. So yeah, the people passing out is a funny thing that no one really tells you about.
I got my first tattoo on my 18th birthday at a seedy little spot that does free tattoos on your 18th birthday. And it was a tiny little dragonfly on the small of my back. I wasn't even finished the first one, and I was thinking to myself, this doesn't feel too bad. What's the next one gonna be? And when I got the first one, I just went in and picked something off the wall. I didn't even really care what it was. I just wanted a tattoo. And I guess what they say about them being addictive is true. Just once you get one, it kind of breaks the barrier, and it doesn't feel so precious. And all of a sudden, it opens up this whole world of creativity. I think when I was younger, I thought about it a lot more. And as I get older, I'm just more of a collector, so I'm more drawn to certain artists' styles. And that's become more of the deciding factor than anything. I think a lot of people are a little shocked when they ask me what my tattoos mean, and considering how heavily tattooed I am, there's very few that really mean anything to me. I just say I think they look cool. I just like having tattoos. I like celebrating the artwork of the artists that do them. So sometimes when strangers ask me about my tattoos, I'll make up fake reasons for them, because people often seem disappointed when I say, oh, I just think they look cool. Or sometimes it depends on my mood. If somebody catches me on the wrong day, I'll dive in really deep with some of the ones that are kind of heavy in meaning and kind of teach them a social lesson on etiquette, and maybe you shouldn't always ask strangers about them. But other times it becomes a whole coloring book, and I'm guiding them through my tattoos. So first visible one on my arm that I got was this Valentine that my ex-boyfriend bought me when I was 19, so really thought that one through. But we're still friends, to be fair. And then that turned into a whole sleeve. I just wanted it to be really girly, kind of like puppy love theme. I have some of my best friend's initials and candy hearts in there, which is kind of fun. This arm is more of a collector's sleeve, so this has a lot more pieces from different artists that I was more inclined for their personal style. So I have, for example, this hand holding the bouquet. It was really motivated by how it flowed with my arm shape, and I really liked the artist. He's a guy from Ontario. This one here says Young Heart, Old Soul. That's a memorial tattoo I got for a friend of mine who took his own life. So that's probably my biggest one in terms of having some real deep meaning. And that's kind of the main one that I have on display that people ask me about that is diving down a bit of a rabbit hole. This, of course, is from me running my first marathon. So crossing that off the list, 42.2 kilometers. I also have this very traditional dagger piece that says Chinaski. That's a character from one of my favorite books that Charles Bukowski wrote, that one's kind of a funny one because he's essentially a perverted old man, and I have his name tattooed on my arm. So depending on who you tell that one to, they either think it's badass or they think that it's crazy. This one's my burning bra. That's one of my favorites. Just a little testament to strong ladies out there. My friend Krista did this one here. It's a stick and poke, jail style tattoo. She did that when we had too much whiskey one night. And this is a gypsy head that is basically inspired by myself. It's just kind of a testament to my free spirit. And I have another one on my back of my arm there as well that is a friendship tattoo with my friend Becky. I have a tattoo on my leg that is kind of a fun one. I lost a bet. My friend Stan calls me the Rocket. I'm a runner, so I made a bet that if I ran a certain time in a race that I would get a tattoo of a rocket, and I did that. So I joke and say I lost the bet and had to get the tattoo, but it's a pretty cool tattoo. I originally wasn't going to tattoo beneath my knee, and I've since changed my mind on that. I've kind of run out of spaces. There's certain areas I swore I would never tattoo, and now I'm tattooing them. So my next one, I'm probably going to tattoo my kneecap, actually. So I'm going to eventually sleeve that whole leg. First few years of my career, I hid all of my tattoos. And then it wasn't until I started showing my tattoos that my career took off. I kid you not. It was like suddenly people saw that I was interesting and I was cool and I had a different perspective, especially being in a creative field, that it almost gave me this foot in the door where they saw this creative side of me externally that made them want to work with me, I guess. It wasn't until I really tattooed my hand that was probably the most liberating thing I ever did, when I tattooed my hand, because it's like you can't hide it anymore. Unless I'm wearing mittens when I shake your hand, you're gonna see that this is who I am. So yeah, it's a big part of who I am and my personality.
The first really visible tattoo I got was this, which is my Klimt painting. And I remember what a big deal it was to be a girl in my early 20s. Like we were getting tattooed and people were getting tattooed as a whole. It was becoming more popular, but not to what it is today. Like I kind of marvel now that I get 18, 19, 22-year-old girls coming all the time. They're getting half sleeves and they don't bat an eye about it. And when I got my hand tattooed, that was my first I can't cover tattoo. And I was still hesitant at that point. I think I'd been tattooing for probably 5 or 6 years at that point. So I mean, I was committed to it, but it was still a big deal when I was like, oh, I can't cover it. Like I'm delinquent for life. That's what we call them, job stoppers, when you get hands and necks and things like that done. So yeah, it's definitely different now than it was even 11 years ago when I started getting tattooed. I've been approached several times where people are like, yeah, I want to get into tattooing, and then you never hear from them again. I don't take on apprentices just because I'm not set up to do that. I don't feel like I would be the good teacher to give you a well-rounded education on the foundation of tattooing and all the stuff that you should have to be a good tattooer. But it took me 2 years to get my apprenticeship. I knew who I wanted to learn from. I basically harassed him every other week that I wanted to do this. I kept bringing my work, and then one day he finally said, yeah, he called, said, all right, now's your time if you still want it. It was like, dropped immediately. I find people today, just because of the popularity of the shows and the culture, that they just think they're gonna walk in and get it and then just have this career, but you really have to work at it. Like it's appointment based, and if you're not on top of your schedule, if you don't know how to manage your money between the busy times and the slower times, and it's not quite the career people make it out to be. It's great if you're willing to work at it, but I think people just have a little bit skewed idea of what it is to be a successful tattooer these days. And it's like any job, if you're willing to invest your time in growing it and your business and your work and keep working at it, that you'll be a great tattooer. Yes, tattoos hurt. You're getting needles dragged upon your skin and ink injected into it. So it's definitely a different level of pain for everyone, but yes, it hurts. Just get over it. Accept it, move on. It's gonna hurt, you'll get through it, you'll be fine.
I got my first tattoo right around when I was about 19. None of my friends had any, and it was always something that I was very interested in. It's hard to really look back at the why. I knew sort of from the first time that I was a bit hooked. It was one of those things, if people tell you that tattoos are addictive, it's absolutely correct. It's really a bit of a mosaic of my life, I guess. I've never been one to buy into the aesthetic culture for tattoos. It's not, I don't do it because it looks good. It's for me and me alone. And if anybody else, chooses to like it or not like it, that's up to them. But it's purely, what I've done in my life, because I've worked in 5 different countries now. It's been a long journey since I left here to where I am now. There are parts of my life that I want to remember and parts of my life that I'm not so keen to remember, but I know I need to. And these are all parts. I've got a flower from Bermuda where I lived, and that was all part of this big tattoo here. Like across my chest are 2 full skulls. So some of it looks rather dark, but it's not really. It's like a song, The artists put out a song. They don't give you everything. They'll give you enough to keep you interested, but they keep some of it just for them, and that's what I do too. A lot of the tattoos I got are event related, are something that happened in my life that I want to either commemorate, remember, that kind of thing. I think the most important one to me, the one that I got for me, really is the one on my leg. When I got my sleeve done on the leg, that was I lost about 50 kilos so far. I'm still going. I work out almost every day, and it was the Phoenix. Really is a rebirth, and that's really how I feel about it. This is actually the only one that I have that isn't really Japanese. Japanese is the style that I really like, and I very identify with the philosophies and things like that. But this one is from Dios de la Muerte. It's a Mexican holiday, Day of the Dead, and there's a bit of an A in the crown, and that's for both my grandfathers, who were quite religious. Oh, there are always plans. Whether or not they come to fruition is another story, of course. It's a time commitment, but also it's a monetary commitment as well. It's not a cheap addiction, as it were. I suppose most addictions aren't cheap. When I see it, I almost forget they're there. Because the skin doesn't feel different. I don't notice. Sometimes I catch myself looking though. Sometimes.
Yeah, I love following people's work. It's just constantly being inspired with, I can't believe that person did that, or different technique. Like it has gone so much from there's also the flash on the walls too. People are like crossing genres, and they've got computer programs to design things now. It's pretty amazing what tattooing has become on the art form. So there's a lot to be inspired and follow along with.
But I certainly see it.
And all you can do is keep showing up and keep being dedicated to the work you're putting out there, and hopefully your clients tell other people, and you do events like conventions where you're meeting other tattooers and they get to know you and what you're doing. So I don't really know how to answer that question, because I mean, you want your name to get out there, but it's not like an active, hey, I've got to go do this event so people know who I am and these clients I need clients here. I've been doing conventions because I liked meeting the tattooers, and it's a good chance to go to a new city and meet new clients. And then I ended up having regular bases where I have clients that I see all the time. I regularly go to St. John's, where I'm from, and Montreal and Calgary every year, and I have small client bases there. So as long as you're doing good work and people are happy with your work, then your name's gonna get out there.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I think the look on people's face is the most rewarding, like when it's done and they haven't looked at it the whole time and they're going up to the mirror for the first time to see their tattoo, and just like when they're so happy that they love it, they're proud to wear it for the rest of their lives, and that you know you got it right, that's probably the best part.
Time to start planning the next big piece.
Oh, buddy. That owl one would have been a good contender too, that chess piece.
Yeah.
But I don't think he wouldn't. He wouldn't be a good contender for the pain.
Actually, I'll send you another image of pretty much, it's like the same location that he got the owl in. I have a design in mind that I want to get done that's going to be 100% color, so it's going to be extremely painful, but I think it would look awesome.
Yeah, there's things that obviously come and go, like Live, Love, Laugh was huge when I started tattooing. The barbed wire and Looney Tunes animals had gone before I really got into it. So now I think where I've been tattooing so long, and I do kind of larger pieces as well, I don't get a lot of that stuff as much. Wolves, lions, that stuff is really popular, but on a more photorealistic side. So it's, yeah, I would say that's probably, I feel like more people are into it for the art form now, so they want to get a tattooer's art as opposed to, I just want a line, I don't care who does it, kind of thing. So that's a fun shift in that we have more creativity in the pieces that we do. That's it, sir.
Okay.
End of an era.
Yeah, end of an era until the fall when we pick something else, probably a back piece to do.
All right, I'm ready.
Yeah, perfect.
I'm actually at the point now where I'm doing some other business things, so I'm kind of I'm not splitting my time, but I have some other business ventures I'm investing into, and so I'm trying to kind of fine tune the tattoo work I'm doing. If I'm doing it for less time and I'm booked up the times I want to be, that I want to focus more on the pieces that I want to do that really engage me and I'm interested in, because that's like an age-old thing I find in tattooing, especially these days, where it's similar in the chef culture as well. Like you just provided a service. Who you were and what you didn't matter. Whereas now, people are seeking you out for the style that you do, so that tends to be where you want to gear towards what you're doing. So I find that, yeah, like people want to do what they're interested in, but there's also the argument, it's like, well, you're a tattooer, like, even if I want this small tattoo that you don't deem is interesting to do, are you still going to do it, kind of thing, so.